angle off, but he does have a scroll of invulnerability, or not scroll, a potion of invulnerability. Now you will notice what Axlev is doing is he's kind of running away because he's getting focused, and then Strifecrow is going to move his army into the Fiends. I mean, that's just pretty smart. I mean, when you notice they're right-clicking one player's units and he decides to run that way, you're going to be like, ooh, chase him down, try and get as many unit kills as possible. Well, the other player kind of rapes you. Notice how the Priest of the Moon is keeping decent positioning. DK is kind of not in the most fantastic position. But look at what Axlev is doing with his hunts. He's wrapping around behind to try and prevent the Fiends from escaping and getting a lot of damage off on the Fiends. And that's just fantastic play. Now, one thing that I'm surprised they did is that they went, the undead player is eventually going to get Destros, which I really don't understand. I mean, the only thing you're really going to be able to do is devour a bunch of the protection scroll, which means, you know, 2 less armor and a little more damage for you. If anything, you should have just stuck to Fiends and Statues with a bunch of Huntress, and obviously Fiends, because you can actually kind of out-damage output them, and then get a couple Meat Wagons just because they do more damage than Glaive Throwers, plus you have the Disease Cloud ability, which is good for you. Now, one thing that Axlev is doing right now is he's going, hey, I have a bunch of really highly upgraded Huntress. He's got tier 3 Huntress. Nope, just tier 2. It doesn't have the extreme bouncing glaive ability, but he's going to right-click the hull, and the reason that this kind of blows for the elf player is because you can't really heal it. Because with that many Huntress and that much damage output, you're going to lose Wisps pretty fast. So, hull's about to go down. And you'll notice that the Huntress are tanking for the Wisps, which is pretty smart. And unfortunately, see, that's why Crypt Lord's important. Crypt Lord actually just saved the elf player's tree. That's why you go with the Crypt Lord. You reduce so much of their damage output, plus you can get in way better positioning. It's just like 10 times better than one Frost Nova.
Your building is complete.
It might just be me, and I don't know. Whatever. You get where I'm going with this. Ancient of Wind goes up, which is pretty smart. And basically, when they start going Destros, you can either start going Hippogriff, because they won't really have enough Fiends, and they'll probably be running around with their Fiends trying to go, oh no, Hunters are focusing my Fiends. And then you get a couple free shots on their Destros, or you can do what he's doing, which is going Druids at the Talon, and then Strifecrow's going to be going Archers. And basically the Talons allow you to get Fairy Fire and do a little more damage to Hunters because you're reducing their armor, and plus you know where they're going. And pretty good scouting is they know where the undead player is. And look at this again. They're doing the same basic maneuver. They do set up an owl scout, or sentry owl, whatever, on the tree, which is a pretty good spot for it because you can tell when they're going to be creeping the raid camp or expoing. DK is in a bad position, and it gets focused, and he's forced to TP. And obviously, Strifecrow is going to be chasing down the Priest of the Moon, but what they're going to do is they're actually going to just head for the elf player's base. Now, smartly enough, the undead player did TP to the elf player's base, which is what you want to do. You don't want to TP back to your base and then have them rip apart your base, but you have to buy another TP or run over there and try and distract them a little bit. So, good move. And right now they're pretty much outmassing. Strifecrow setting up his expo, and he's picking up archers. I mean, the first Destro is already up, so you might as well. One thing that Destros can do, though, is they can devour the Sentinel Owls, but it's really not important when you're just massing Huntress, so you can set up a few more anyways. And they're pretty good because you can actually see over trees and stuff. And they have them in pretty good position at the gold mine. They could set up another one at the other gold mine too, which would be good, or on either side of the gold mine. So you know when they're going to head over, but they already have the ward in a pretty good position, so on that side, so that's good. And the Wisp Scout actually picks them up at that end of the map. So what they're going to do is they're first going to get the surround on the Priest of the Moon, take that out. Well, it's going to be force 2 staff out. You can use a bunch of moon juice. And what are they going to do? They're going to pick off a bunch of buildings. Well, the undead player is out on his own. This is smart because you're forcing another TP, obviously. And because then what you're doing is you're forcing them to stick together, which they sort of have to do. As a dual elf team that's doing the mass huntress, you don't really have to stick together as much just because you're massing, and all you really have to do is make sure that you're not in terrible positioning. Nice use of the invulnerability potion. I mean, look at this. He's 2v1ing them basically because all heroes are there, and he's going to TP out, but he did do pretty decent amounts of damage. You'll notice that the Crypt Lord was actually the most important factor of that battle, just because Impale actually did something. But while Strife Crow was distracting him, Axelav was distracting him, Strife Crow took out the undead player's main. You can't really heal it because the Acolytes are going to get owned. And yeah, that goes down, which sucks. So basically, the dual elf player team is playing super smart. I mean, they're still upgrading their shitloads of Huntress, which is good because eventually it's going to be a little more important for your upgrades if you start upgrading, or not for your upgrades, for True Shot Aura. Good use of the Tranquility. What you want to do is use it to heal your units. When the Crypt Lord's around, you're not going to be able to stop it, or you're not going to be able to use it that effectively, which kind of sucks. But notice how Axelav is already trying to wrap around and take out those fiends. I mean, that's just smart play. And he's got two different armies of Huntress right now. He's got the one with his hero and the one with Strife Crow's hero, which is smart. And what WNV Say is doing, the WNV elf player is trying to stop Axelav from actually going behind and picking off the fiends. And you can't really do that with a bunch of Huntress because you don't really have the damage output to do it. And look at this. They're going to head over again and do the same maneuver. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out as well. But what they're going to do is Axelav is going to use his army that was with Strife Crow to head around and do the exact same thing. Because they have a pretty good choke point, the WNV team does. But look what they're going to do. They're going to place this choke point in their advantage, which is they're going to have the Keeper of the Grove using the Tranquility in a really, really good spot. And then they're going to have the Huntress come in from behind and rape a bunch of fiends, which is even smarter. Basically, Lich gets owned, decent coil, but look at how Impale saved his hero. I mean, well, sort of saved. But yeah, basically what they did is they manipulated their opponent into really bad situations for them, and they just outmassed. And basically it's a little harder to do in solo just because your armies are going to be a lot more even. You're going to be able to pressure you a little more effectively just because you won't be having enough Huntress to stop them, really. And what a perfect way to end off a game with the most sexy spell in the world, Starfall. I love it. But basically, this whole 2 series was the KOD team just played it so much smarter than the other team. I mean, if the armies were equal, which they weren't because the KOD team manipulated themselves into battles which were better for themselves, all the time basically. So, the WNV team was going to be down a bunch of units. Obviously, they haven't really fought many good battles. So, yeah, basically what they did was they played it smart. They